Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy. Jordan Kitchen's back in the studio. Andy Isco with us on Tuesdays. We'll get a thought on the weekend scoreboard from him. We do first class, second class, and no class. Now we're number 2. So
I got to ask Andy about streaks, man. Against Tennessee, on Colorado. That's a pretty 8 straight covers. Is that 9 straight covers now? I can't keep track.
Can I? Well, you know, the one that gets me this week, the interesting one is Army. Okay, Army is 9-0. Army is, I believe, 7-2 or 8-1 against the number this year. It's something close to that, and. This game, you know, not just from a standpoint of point spread, but it's the game I think that could really throw a monkey wrench into the committee. Now that BYU is no longer undefeated, and we're going to get one team out of the Big 12, an Army win over Notre Dame this weekend would really.
This could be tough.
It is. And I understand.
What do you think the power rating of their best win is?
Army's best win?
Who do you think it is?
Wow, that's a good question.
It's like we did it the other day. East Carolina is like 80th.
Okay, I know it's bad.
That's their best win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
there's nobody on there.
Horse crap schedule,
right?
I mean,
even teams that usually have a decent power rating, like Air Force, North Texas,
Air Force was a rocket chair this weekend. That was a good one.
They're better. They've gotten better.
They're not going to quit.
No, definitely not. But the thing is, with Army, if you beat, if you pull this miracle off and you beat Notre Dame,
what's Army's ATS?
The rest of the schedule, all you got left is Texas San Antonio, a game that you should win. The Navy game doesn't count as far as the
7-2.
Yeah, as far as the committee's concerned, the Navy game doesn't count. So if Army, pulls this miracle off, and then they would get Tulane in the American Championship game. Well, you want to talk about a fly in the ointment for the committee and what to do with the Black Knights. So. We can ask him about that too. I realize what you're saying though. Army is a lot more likely to look like Navy did in their game against Notre Dame. They're a little bit better than Navy, and they got a healthy quarterback.
You think they're better than Navy?
Navy no longer has a healthy quarterback. Well, when Horvath was playing the way he was in October, I thought Navy was a little bit better. Now that he's kind of in and out, I think Army's a little bit better.
He got knocked out in the second series of the game.
But this is the second. Yeah, this is the second game too.
Okay,
that he's
all
missed.
right. But if you don't think they missed him, they didn't come close to scoring a point.
Right.
Okay?
No, I know they did. That's what I'm saying.
Also,
Navy
was very uncharacteristic, Charlie. I mean, Navy's never going to have they're going to lose sleep for the rest of their lives over that game. I mean, didn't lose a fumble all year. Lost like 3.
Yeah.
It was just
they
really, threw up on themselves. But Army Navy's going to be fun. It's going to be good. I think Navy's a little bit better at full strength. But if Horvath is out, I don't want any part of him.
Well, didn't you think that Horvath? This is, like I said, multiple games. He's not healthy. Even when he was in there, I thought he was a little bit limited. The little bit that I saw, I don't think he doesn't look like the.
What game are you talking about?
2 games back.
Rice.
Yeah.
They had like the 4-hour rain delays?
Yeah.
Delays?
And that's the only reason I saw a little bit of it was because it was delayed. Anyway, Army could really screw some things up. Do I think they're going to beat Notre Dame? I do not. I think Notre Dame probably.
Army and Navy overall, though, helps Notre Dame's resume, obviously.
They're better.
They lose on, like, USC's not as good. The overall schedule was just bad. They ducked Florida State.
Florida State was terrible.
Jeez, I mean, they're all-time worst. That's the worst team in my lifetime with Florida State.
Oh yeah,
come on, man!
It's the worst actual record since before Bowden.
Oh,
so
that's
you got to go back a ways.
You got to go back to there when it was all girls school.
Yeah, and what Notre Dame has that win against A&M stands up pretty well. That's a very nice win for them. A&M on the road, that works out pretty good. And Georgia Tech's not terrible. Louisville's not terrible. So the schedule's got some. Look, as long as they win, they're fine. And if they were to lose, they'd still have a case. I don't know if they get in for sure, but they would still have a case.
Charlie, we're the historians, huh?
That's what they tell me.
Just old, huh? Code for old.
Yeah.
1947 was the last year that Florida State was an all-girls school.
And that's the last time they had a record this bad? I know it was before Bowden. I didn't know what year. 47?
Well, 47 is called girls.
I know, but what year?
I don't know.
I know they weren't playing football with the girls.
I gotta believe this is the worst season record that they've ever had. I mean, they're going to finish 2-10.
Yeah, they've got a rental win and
in Cal,
Florida. And then Florida's the last game. They're not
beating Florida.
No. I agree. You watch Texans Cowboys last night, I'm sure?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still at the Beau Rivage last night watching it. It was a good time. It's funny. I still hear a lot of people I respect saying, Houston's just not that good. But, boy, Stingley had his hand on how many balls last night?
Well, the one he picked where Lamb kind of quits on the route, gets knocked off his route was an easy one, the pick. But, gosh, I don't know. 3 or 4 more balls.
I mean, a lot.
Easy. His official passes defense last night, I'll get it for you, but he's credited with 2 PBUs and an interception. He was all over the place. But the thing to me about Texas, the Texans is Nico Collins.
He
got wiped out. The very first play of the game, he goes 70+ for a touchdown. Now they wiped it out because of the man downfield, but he's a true number 1 receiver. He was the leading receiver in the NFL before he got hurt, and he is infinitely more important to them than Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. So you put him back in the lineup, and that changes a bunch of stuff. It helps. Joe Mixon was already having a monster year, but when I think it loosens things up a little bit more for him. The guy that's not having the standout year for them is Stroud. He's been okay, but there's a touch of sophomore slump in there for whatever reason. He's not as good as he was a year ago. He hasn't been terrible, but he's not been as good as he was a year ago. I think that'll be the test for them. Now that he's got Collins back, they're at full strength. How about the Cowboys? I'm glad Max is here so we can make fun of him.
Why?
Because
he's not a Cowboys guy.
No, but he's a Trey Lance guy, and I just got to know how bad Trey Lance is to not be able to get in to these games. I mean, Jerry, your season is lost. You know what you got in Cooper Rush.
Somebody asked me last night. You know what I told him? Jerry Jones does not think the season's over yet.
Oh gosh, he needs to have lunch with Mickey Loomis. The delusions of grandeur.
Oh, really?
Tour.
Jerry Jones is kind of an anchor on his organization, really?
Yeah. Loomis hasn't always I was just talking about from a delusional
his involvement is counterproductive?
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, just a tad.
At least Loomis was productive for a while.
Cooper Rush is a better option right now. But
sure.
I mean, but Trey Lance, he's got more of a chance to be something than Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Let me know what I got, or at least let me get a better picture.
How's he going to get better? Play.
Right.
I mean, this season's over. Play him.
That was the big knock on him coming out of college. He hadn't played very much. The whole COVID season got wiped out, which wasn't his fault, and he hadn't really played that much. One season before that.
Season's over, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well,
I think it is. I mean,
everybody knows it's over.
Sure.
Okay.
And it was over the trade deadline when they were adding pieces.
Okay, so I mean, you can beat by 20 points a game at home.
Here's a good trivia question for you. Which football team has scored the most touchdowns at AT&T Stadium this year?
Oh, here we go. The Saints.
The Saints?
What? The Saints.
It's funny.
The Saints have led more minutes than who is it?
Well, they've only played one game. They've only played one game in the stadium, and Dallas has played 6.
Who dat? Let's screw the top 5 pick. Let's get a pick in the teens.
No, it's not. That's not a oh, good, look how good the Saints are. That's oh, look how bad the Cowboys
Tired
are.
of the consolation crap with the Saints. Okay,
That wasn't a plus for the Saints. That was a knock on the Cowboys.
Until your administration is uncompromised, you're a compromise, and you are in the bunch with the Dallases of the world, previous Washingtons of the world. You're not, the Teppers of the world. I mean, used to be a well-run organization, but you, because of your close ties to the administration and ownership, you are compromised.
No question. I could have said the Lions. The Lions are pretty close, too, to scoring the most touchdowns over there. It's been a house of horrors for Dallas. I can't remember a team. There's been plenty of bad teams, but a team that's so much worse at home than on the road.
Well, they were 8-0 at home last year.
You saying that it's
I'm just saying
correcting to the mean, or
no? I mean, it's just. They were great last year at home. They're terrible this year. They were much better as a team last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's now they still got smoked in the playoffs, by Green Bay. Never competitive, but I think the Dallas Cowboys gets enough run. I mean, we in the offseason we talk about Dak. During the season, we talk about Dak. He gets injured. We talk about Dak.
You wanted them to take the Jets off television.
We talk about Jerry.
You want to take the Jets and the Cowboys off television? Better get on the phone with Goodell.
You don't think that they should flex out of Dallas games, the primetime games at this point?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
All right. When they're winning, okay, roll with them. But when they're out, pull them.
And that's I think that's the hardest thing for Jones to get his mind around is this was a 12-win team the last 2 years, and you when you're a 12-win team and you get in the playoffs and you just lay an egg, it's reasonable to think, hey, if we just make some minor adjustments, we can get there. And then the bottom falls out the next year.
You've been in the Boulevard Sportsbook, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Dallas brings a pretty big following, right?
The Cowboy fans everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Cowboys, Yankees,
as light of a crowd as I've seen.
Yeah,
last night it was they're off the bench. I mean, they know they are irrelevant. So move on. There's a whole lot of things going on in the league that are, I mean, it's how things flipped, huh? Detroit forever. Thanksgiving, got to watch sad ass Detroit again. Oh, now we got to watch.
There's your flex. Make the Cowboys play at 11 while we're eating lunch. And let the Lions play at 3:30 when everybody's finished with, Thanksgiving dinner and they can, sit down and actually watch the game. There's your flex.
We don't have any time to eating
no.
schedule at the outhouse. No, it's just kind of, it's very independent. You just fix plate when you want. It's always
got your TV trays. The games are on. At any rate, Texas
TV trays, Charlie. That's old school.
Yeah, you get a TV tray. You go watch in front of the game.
TV tray.
I still got a TV tray at my house. Because I don't like to eat in the kitchen. So.
I mean, I haven't seen a TV tray since the Banana Splits were on the Saturday cartoons or the Mod Squad was on. I mean, we're talking sewer rat 70s. Baby.
I still got a TV tray for when I need it. So
isn't that cozy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't like to eat in the kitchen.
TV tray.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're here at Mike Anderson's gift card season, man. We got the holidays coming up. We got pictures with Santa. We got all kind of stuff.
Early bird special. Now this is through November 27th, so it's been going on a couple of weeks, but it will cut off at the 27th. Buy $100 in gift cards and get $20 gift certificate free. Buy $200 or more in gift cards, get $20 gift certificate, plus a free appetizer card for every 100. So how about that? We've got a lot of things going on over here. Hey, just around the corner also is Pictures with Santa. Pictures with Santa. It's going to be on Sunday, December 1st. This is a very well-attended event because they do a great thing. Sunday, December 1st, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., Letters with Santa, crafts, raffles, local handmade gifts, a petting zoo, which is a big hit, and then also the cookies, and the Christmas cookies as well. So Pictures with Santa, put it in your plan, put it in your calendar, on your phone. December 1st, Sunday, December 1st. Kids absolutely love it. Right here at Mike Anderson's, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Charlie, here it is. 1973, Florida State was 0-11. 74, they were 1-10. So they started playing football in Tallahassee in 1954.
Yikes. Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Holidays are approaching. Dad is tough to buy far. Over to Thibodeau Store, ThibodeauStore.com, and get a whole bunch of items that Dad's going to like. First of all, the Cajun cooking, the specialty cookware, they'll ship it right to your door, including the Cuisinart Chef's classic stainless steel cookware set. It's on special right now. In fact, they've got a whole host of specials that are going to run now through Black Friday at ThibodeauStore.com. So you're looking for power tools, power equipment, hand tools. They've got a huge selection of those. Tool storage, the rolling tool kits are on special. Some outdoor power equipment, cordless power tools, lots of things that Dad's going to like. Need to find some Christmas decorations. They've got a whole big section of Christmas decorations, merry and bright for the Christmas holidays. You can get that at the Thibodeau Store. Plus all of the normal things that you're going to get at a hardware store like key cutting and paint matching, plus propane services, screen and glass repair, and a whole lot more. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, and online it's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Annie from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, plus the new LouisianaSports.net. Brand new edition of the Hannycast is up on YouTube. Richard and I cut that last night, went through a lot of things that happened in the Florida game. Spoiler alert, the blocking was not very good. You might have noticed that as you watched the game. But we tell you a little bit about why.
Well, how much blocking and how much Nussmeier holding on to the ball?
I was talking more about the running plays.
Okay.
Where there were just some absolute whiffs.
It's been a struggle all year.
But there were this was worse.
Really?
Yeah. The 39% negative or zero plays number that we gave out yesterday in a 3-game losing streak, you can really see where, I'm sorry, the left guard and the center are just absolutely missing people. Just not even touching people and getting guys to say this was the surprising thing to me in this watching the film that you wouldn't think watching the game live, I didn't anyway, is that there are more plays to be broken that were productive plays that are 4 to 7 yard gains that if one lineman gets to the second level, which they do a really bad job at, these 4 to 7 yard runs could be 15 to 20 yard runs, and they miss so many of those opportunities. I'm reluctant to blame scheme on a lot of this stuff, and the pass blocking was bad. Nussmeier held the ball a little long a couple of times. The one that was excruciating was the long ball of Hilton. If he waits another half a second, he's got Anderson on a crossing route that would have been about a 60-yard gain. We show that play. We show the play that Weeks said they were playing two different defenses. Another spoiler alert. He was right. You can really see where the slants are against each other on that play. The play that Lacey was screaming about where he wanted the ball. I didn't think he was open, but we won't know. That's one of the plays where Nussmeier didn't have a whole lot of time to throw the ball. So there's some interesting stuff in there if you're interested in the whys of LSU's 27-16 loss to Florida. Here's your obligatory Jets news. They fired the GM this morning. Aaron Rodgers, I think, has gotten everybody fired there except the mayor in New York.
Funny how that works, huh?
They got the coach fired, got the GM fired before Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming.
What's their record now?
Bad 3 and whatever. 3-8. 3-8.
So they're going to have a better record last year than they did this year.
Yeah,
I said all they were was a quarterback away.
And I don't have it in front of me, but
7-10
aren't some of the offensive numbers worse this year than they were last year?
They were comparable. They were pretty damn almost basically the same. So for a while, I hadn't looked at those in a few weeks. So
I'm guessing that Wilson was a lot cheaper than Rodgers.
Well, Devontae Adams is all they needed to have a Super Bowl push.
It'd be right there. I wanted to jump back on a couple of the college games that we didn't really have a chance to talk about yesterday.
Yes, please.
Mondays are big, and the one I wanted to start with was one of the best games of the weekend was South Carolina and Missouri. This was a wild fourth quarter. 31 points scored in the fourth quarter, and South Carolina had the ball last. I was surprised. South Carolina was one of my picks on Friday because I thought that they would really handle Missouri, but Brady Cook coming back, and he looked healthy. When he came back in that game against, I believe it was Alabama.
Alabama was terrible.
He did not
No.
look. He was in the game, but he didn't look healthy. He looked healthy on Saturday, and he's a really solid quarterback in the SEC. But Lenora Sellers, man, we saw him in a game against LSU, of course, and made some big plays. And then after that, the game against Alabama, boy, he made some big plays, and then he missed a couple. He missed
a 2-point conversion to tie the game.
He missed a 2-point conversion. He was really good there. The last 5 games, 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Plus, he's got the threat to run. He's a big kid.
Inconsistent quarterback in the SEC,
but getting better. That's the point. He's getting better.
This is his best stretch, no question.
He was good against LSU. If he plays healthy in the second half, LSU loses.
He's great against LSU
for half. And then
that's all he played.
Couldn't play in the he played a series in the second half, but he wasn't healthy. Then he was really good against Alabama. He missed a 2-point bummer. And then now in November,
missed it. He threw it in the stands.
I get it, but he
I mean,
he missed it. Okay?
Yeah, there's a miss, and then there's like, what the hell is going through your mind, dude?
Just a bit outside.
God.
Well, it was a bad throw. He was throwing it to the right guy. He saw the guy was open, and then he sailed the throw. The last 5 games, man, he has really, really come on.
But that doesn't mean he's a guarantee to light it up the next week. And he did it with the game on the line as well. After Cook hit Burden, for the go-ahead touchdown from 37 yards out with a minute and a half to go.
Game-winning drive started with a minute and 2 seconds to go on their own 30-yard line.
Rocket Sanders, man, he's a nice back too.
Yeah,
Been talking about him for a while. He's really had an impact this year.
He was terrific at Arkansas. And he's been an impact guy for them, no doubt about it. And did you see the want-to on the shovel pass that scored? The
last one?
Yeah. He could have easily been stopped, I would say, 4, 5, 6 yard short of the end zone.
Now, Sellers had his best day ever on Saturday night. Okay?
Yeah, he threw 5 touchdown passes. He's been, like I said, he's gotten a lot. He's gotten better as the season goes along. It's all you can hope for out of a young quarterback, and they're really good right now.
9 starts, okay? 6 of them he throws for 5 of them he throws for less than 200 yards. Okay?
Yeah. 2
he throws for 238 and 244. 353 on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So this was we're talking almost double what he's averaging in the previous 8 starts. And 5 touchdowns, like you talked about. The most touchdowns he's ever thrown in a game in his 9 starts? 1. Yeah, I'd say he had a little spike, Charlie.
And you add in the rushing yards. It's positive rushing yards, even with the sacks every game. He ate A&M up on the ground. A&M got a little dose of their own medicine a week after Marcel Reed ran all through LSU. Sellers ran all over A&M.
This is it's a 4-game winning streak in the conference at Oklahoma, which are underdog in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, underdog in that game. Mm-hmm. Vandy, they handled Vandy better than anybody's handled Vandy all year. And in Missouri, and where Missouri came to play, and Brady Cook was healthy and playing at a high level, and they came down to the wire. What a and done that stadium at night have a little extra juice right now.
Sure.
It's always been a loyal fan base. They'll come even when the team is. They're not a fair weather fan base. And how many games have they had at night? Was that A&M game at night?
The A&M game was at night.
Yeah.
They are an eyelash away from beating LSU, an eyelash away from beating Alabama. Now, Ole Miss thumped them. That's the one game, but Ole Miss is really good. We're not – it's not like this wild fantasy that they could be in playoff contention right now. A play – when you say, a play here and a play there, and usually that's BS. South Carolina, play here, play there. They're 8-9-1 with a chance to – let me ask you a question.
They're 7-3 now, so
right.
They're having a better year than LSU.
Yes, absolutely. And I know LSU.
And even LSU beat them at their place.
Right. What's the line when they play Clemson at Clemson?
It's like 2.5.
Yeah. It's pretty much a home field line, right? Those two teams would be
a little less.
Okay.
No, South Carolina's the favorite on neutral.
Yeah. So they get a rental win this week, and then they get they get a rental win and then Clemson. So finish with 9 wins with 2 single score losses to teams that were ranked at the time. It's a pretty good season for Shane Beamer.
No, he's. Do you think there was a hot seat for him this year coming in?
If it would have had the bottom would have had to fall out. If he would have had like a 4-8 type of deal, then yeah. But I think as long as it wasn't smoking hot, I would say if they'd have finished 7-5, he'd have come back for another year. But now he's 9-3. He gets contract extension, Jimmy. You know, if you win a few games, you get contract extension.
Well, he'll be 8-3 going into Clemson. Yes, Clemson's 2.5-point favorite.
They beat Clemson, he'll get a contract. He may get one even if they don't beat Clemson. You get a contract extension, right?
10-year deal.
Oh, at least all guaranteed. No buyout going out, but the whole buyout coming in.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive on Segan Lane. Segan near Perkins, right across the street from Ambrosia Bakery. Again, anything that you need done on your car. The engine light comes on, bring it on in. Belts, hoses, oil changes, and other general services, undercar services, electronic, AC repair, transmission, you name it. We got it for you over at K&M Automotive. They're open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. So give us a call if you're asking when a good time to bring it in. If you want to maximize your convenience at 636-2875. Ask for Jason Payne. It's the only place I take my vehicle. K&M Automotive, Perkins and Segan, across Segan from Ambrosia Bakery.
Live from Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Iskoe.
All right, let's go out to Las Vegas, talk to Andy Iskoe. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Jimmy, I'm doing fine, especially on a day where it's about 50 degrees here in mid-morning, which is a little bit cool, but no wind, so I'm loving it.
Yeah, man, we had a little rain come through, and it's a clear day. I mean, it's like a fall day here, beautiful day in Baton Rouge. Not much Thanksgiving or holiday weather, but we will take it. Andy, I want to ask you today about streaks, because streaks, people bet them. And look, in Colorado was 7-0 going into the game against Utah, and Utah hasn't been very good. And, man, they bet that thing up from 9.5 to 14, and they still cover. But you're getting an inflated line there, but they're so hot. Do you want to get in the way of a runaway train? Tennessee, myself, Randy McKay, after a week off, came back on the Titans. They only had 3 calls that either took a touchdown off the board or led to a touchdown. That's a team that can't overcome 21 points going against them. But they did not cover. Again, what's your philosophy on riding a hot team or taking the value on the inflated numbers going against them?
Actually, one of the things I do with streaks is when they end, I look to do that same result. In other words, if you've won 7 in a row and then you lose, then I'll look for the next game to be a loss as well. Or if you've ended a losing streak with a win, I go for the win to repeat itself in the next game, and then things sort of get back on a regular routine there. I do that mostly in baseball, it seems to work, but it also does in some other sports. Now, you mentioned the Utah-Colorado game. I think the line move may not have been so much for the streak that Colorado was on, but the fact that Utah had just lost to BYU in the closing moments. That was basically Utah's game of the year because they weren't going to be a contender in the Big 12 despite being a preseason choice. And it was a rivalry game that they hadn't played in a number of years. And so the way they lost was a big disappointment. I think I mentioned the same thing when we talked on Sunday with the Broncos after they had that kick blocked or in Kansas City, that they could end up being in a down mood. And I said, no, I think it was exactly the opposite because of the situation, which was they had just been blown out by Baltimore the week before. Now they found out they could compete, and we saw that with Atlanta. The thing with streaks, and I think it's been mentioned a number of times, if you keep betting on a streak, you can only lose once, and you can continue to win as long as that streak continues. But as far as handicapping, I'm aware of the streaks, but I don't bet on it or against it. In other words, I may like a team. Let's say I liked Colorado anyway, and they were on a streak. I would have continued playing them for that reason. But if I had liked Utah, I'd be aware of the streak. But I would, if I liked Utah as a play on its own, I would have gone against the streak. In other words, I'm aware of the streaks, but I don't play on or against them unless there are compelling reasons that I find either on or against them, and the streak just happens to be one additional factor to consider. Well,
there was a it looked like Utah was on their way to covering. I mean, they were down 11, 35-24. They get the ball back near midfield, but on second down, a early down there, 6:05 to go. They got the ball in plus territory covering, and they throw the interception, and boom, a few plays later, Colorado's in the end zone covering, and then they tack on another one to make the final score. But Utah was in great shape to cover this game.
Had some things in the first half, too. You know, they got Shadur Sanders threw an interception the first play of the game. They set up in plus field position. They only get a field goal out of that drive. Then they allowed the punt return for a touchdown for Colorado. So they did some things early in this game that kind of hamstrung them later, too.
Yeah. So let me ask you your approach to this one, Andy, and that is BYU. Their undefeated season now is done, and now they go into probably – you got to go. This venue hasn't been like this since the Jake Plummer undefeated season.
One of the most surprised teams in all of college football this year that hasn't gotten a lot of attention because they were behind BYU in that same conference.
Well, we sure respect the hell out of Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, and they went to the Little Apple, and we know that's a tricky spot to play. Again, it's rural spot. I mean, it's kind of it's a tough spot. It's like going to one of those smaller gyms with some of those smaller teams in college basketball that they're right on the court and stuff. And I mean, they jump on them. It's 21-zip at half. Arizona State. You know they got that running back. One of the more physical running backs in all of college. Scatterbo. They've got a guy at quarterback. He's one of those dual threats, but they don't really design run him that much. But he's very mobile for a thrower. Michigan State transfer.
Sam Levitt, yeah. And one of the games they lost, he didn't play. The game at Cincinnati, he didn't play.
Yes, correct.
So give him credit. They actually hung around in that game even though Levitt didn't play.
And then when they beat Utah and stormed the field, Dillingham, who's the youngest coach in Division I, he's out there bouncing around. He's not running. He's not looking for his bodyguards. He's jumping around. Yes, this used to be me.
Not that long ago.
How about that, Andy?
Now, this is one of the more interesting games of the week. I remember a few weeks ago, I loved Arizona State, and everybody else was on Central Florida. But Dillingham had done such a great job, went 3-9 last year, and they have a realistic shot at making into the college football playoff this year. You know, this is an interesting situation because of two factors. Number one, excuse me, they've got their big game against Arizona next week. Okay, big rivalry. Second thing is, and which normally might say a look-ahead spot, but they are playing BYU. And I mentioned that, you know, once a team loses after a long winning streak, I like to go against them, so that would indicate a play against BYU. But this week, I'm not looking at it as a play against BYU. I'm looking at it as a play on Arizona State, because if they beat BYU, it could very well be that they have a good chance of facing Colorado in the Big 12 championship game if Arizona State can win next week against Arizona, because they will have the tiebreaker over BYU based upon head-to-head matches, 2 losses. And Colorado, of course, will basically be the number one seed. So it's an important game for Arizona State, for a team that was 3-9 last year under a first-year coach, and he's made considerable improvement this year. And it may not win, but I'm going to be on Arizona State.
You're not concerned? Tell me what you interpret for BYU when they lost, because it was a tricky loss. They had 10 more first downs than Kansas. They had more rushing yards, significantly, 89 more rushing yards. They had more passing yards, 192 to 169. They had one more. They had a failed fourth down conversion, and then one more turnover. So a -2 there in a field position 17-13 game. That's brutal.
What are we counting the quick kick that went off his helmet on fourth down? What do we call that? Is that officially
they're
turnover?
all part of plays. They're all part of the plays. And again, in a game like that, BYU had their chances, but they didn't come through. They had been begging for a loss for the previous few weeks with a lot of the close calls that they had. And if you go back to, and I think Kirk Herbstreit mentioned this on game day, and it was a very salient point, and that is you've got a team that's 9-0, and they are such a short favorite at home against a team that had been struggling and had been performing up to standards. That tells you something. And I go back and I reach a lot of these things, and when I take a look and see that, for example, when the linesmaker opens a team a short favorite and they go off the underdog, it's very solid results that the linesmaker was correct in making the small favorite the favorite, even though the public went the other way on that. So, these games are all based upon having opportunities to make 4 or 5 opportunities to make the plays at the right time. Kansas did, BYU didn't.
Yes, yes, indeed. All right, Andy. What any picks that you're looking at early this week in college or pro?
Well, I would have liked to have seen a better number with some of these games, but Arkansas is playing to make a bowl game. They've got their final game next week is at Missouri, which you would think that they will be an underdog. You think they might not win. They're playing a Louisiana Tech team off a big upset this past weekend. They're laying about 24, and they need this to get a win for bowl eligibility. I believe the Hogs are 5-5. And we've seen Arkansas explosive at times. I think they gained a lot of confidence over that good effort against Texas last week, especially holding the Longhorns down to just 20 points in that 10-point loss. So I'm looking at Arkansas to put forth a big effort. If Pittman can make a bowl game, he probably saves his job. And his best chance for a bowl game is a win against a non-conference team off a big win themselves within conference at home, as opposed to going up against a conference foe on the road as they will against Missouri. So, this could be one of those 42-17, 42-13 type games.
Andy, what about the other game that is going to influence the Big 12 championship game? Kansas and Colorado. Kansas at home in this game. They had the win against Iowa State, a win against BYU to spoil the undefeated season, and we all know the stat. They have led in the fourth quarter of every game this season, and they get Colorado this week. Colorado controls their own destiny. It was a tricky spot going to Lawrence.
Yeah, it is, but I think we also saw Kansas's vulnerability. Yes, and Jimmy just pointed out the one-sided stats in that game, but they did enough to win. But they did enough to win, but not necessarily to impress, which is one thing we do take a look at as far as winning those games. Now, of course, it is a big thing the fact that they were able to close out a game in situations where they hadn't for a good part of the season. Colorado, I think the line is cheap enough, and they have a chance to not just win the game, but basically clinch the spot in the Big 12 championship game. Haven't decided what I'm going to do in that game because I like Leipold as a coach at Kansas. I've been very disappointed in the team for the first half of the season. They're finally putting it together. We've seen a lot of teams in over the years that all of a sudden things click in around games 5, 6, or 7, and they go on a nice little run. So I'd like to make a case for Kansas, but I want to find out a little bit more about the mindset of Colorado. They have a chance to do something very special in Deion's the second year at Colorado with with Hunter. I think he's now, if not the favorite, certainly not far behind. And of course, son, the quarterback. So it's a special season for Colorado, a team that has not had much success probably since the McCartney days.
Congrats on the pick Sunday, Andy. 2-0, and not just that, but your two picks were sort of the consensus picks. You were one of four of our contributors that had Denver minus a short number in a blowout against Atlanta, and one of four contributors that had the Pittsburgh Steelers, which won the game outright as an underdog.
Which, by the way, as you're mentioning it, I'm barring any significant injuries, I'm going to be looking to play Baltimore in the rematch.
Oh, when it goes back to Baltimore?
When they play in Baltimore later in the year.
Yeah, on Christmas Day. I hope you get to watch it. It's on Netflix.
Oh.
I may end up having to subscribe for that very reason.
You were able
or go to a local sports book.
At least you were able to watch the fight on Friday night, or bet the fight, rather, if you wanted to, out in Nevada. Not about 35%.
Yeah, see, the dancing match.
Yes. We'll take it just fine with our Jake Paul decision plus 300. That is fine. Hey,
That's
how many
very,
left?
Very nice.
How many before are left in the Circa contest, the Survivor?
I believe we are down to 99. I think 2 went out. By the way, that was another game that I really liked last week that I almost used. The Saints. I just couldn't understand why all the love for Cleveland. But two people in the contest, or 2 entries in the contest, were on the Browns, and 4 went out with the 49ers loss. So they're down to 99. The value of each entry is 100 and something thousand right now.
There you go. And there's people out there. If you wanted to sell it, you could sell it easily, huh?
I believe so. I don't know how it works. I don't know if the Circle would put the word out and get things done. I know they did it last year when they got down very close. I think to about a dozen or so. But if I were in that position, I might be making inquiry.
Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
All right, don't forget our friends over at Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and shutters. And how about the siding? It's high-quality siding. And the great thing about the siding at Relief Windows is, again, that it's high-quality stuff, man. High-quality stuff. The vinyl siding, hardy plank siding. When it comes to ensuring the protection and lasting style of your home, no better option than high-quality siding provided by Relief Windows. Our siding selection is made up the most durable materials in the market, able to withstand nearly any weather conditions. Certainly useful in the South Louisiana with our extreme weather conditions. Also, our siding is waterproof, fire-resistant, and pest-resistant as well. Thanks to the material makeup, our siding is extremely resistant to warping, cracking, and damage caused by weather or insects as well. Lasting color, and we've got a variety of colors and textures that look great and allow you to choose the right one, just the right one you want for your home. Relief Windows, 230-5652, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and reliefwindows.com.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, we got basketball tonight as well. The NBA
Great
Cup is back on tonight. Jimmy, you clued me into this. I didn't even realize this. That the NBA Cup games Tuesdays and Fridays, but I thought that this was going to be once the NBA Cup started. They were going to play it all the way to the end without any other games intertwined in that, and you kind of gave me the heads up on that. So tonight is one of the you can tell the floor colors are different. So the
Pelicans court looked good, man. I liked it. Max was shocked that I was complimentary of it.
It's kind of like
liked it.
The green,
contrast,
the green
stuck out. Cool.
The
definition.
Yeah,
instead of just like a big blob, like most of these. It's well done.
I got the Mavericks tonight. They're big underdog because it's basically what's left of the Pelicans right now.
I enjoyed the G League game.
Yeah. The G League prices.
It's a joke, man.
Sorry, you do have one.
Joke.
You do have one good game if you want to watch it tonight, though. The
No,
undefeated
great
Cavs
game.
are at the Celtics.
The defending
tonight.
champs, favorites to win this year against 15-0.
15.
Awesome regular season game.
Hour number 2, straight ahead at Mike Anderson's 104.5 ESPN.
Live at lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then, why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
All right, first class, second class, no class here from Mike Anderson Seafood. Wesley at Nicholson. All right, first class. Jimmy, you got to finally cash your ticket just a mere 2 months after the baseball season.
Awards. Yay.
It only took you 2 months to
Tomorrow
announce.
night we get Chris Sale.
Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens. We spent a lot of time talking about Skeens during the summer. We loved watching him here. The word generational talent gets thrown around way too much. He is. So I'll just run a couple of numbers here. The 196 ERA, second lowest by a rookie with 20-plus starts since 1913. That's a long time. 11.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, fourth all-time among rookies. Spencer Strider, Kerry Wood, Hunter Green. The fifth rookie all-time to start the All-Star game. Since May 11th, he led Major League Baseball in ERA. He was third in strikeouts behind the two likely winners of the Cy Young in, respectively, Sale and Skubal. His .95 whip was tied for best in the National League. He was fifth. If you're a WAR guy, wins above replacement, he was fifth in WAR among all pitchers. He was closer to first than he was to 10th. And here's my favorite one, Jimmy. What do we hate? Or at least I hate when MLB teams just keep a guy down for about 6 weeks so that they can get another year on the contract. It's a blatant manipulation of the system. It's completely unfair to the players. I don't know why the union hasn't addressed it more. But by winning the Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens gets a full year of service, meaning that bullcrap that they did keeping him in Indianapolis until May 11th does not count. He gets a full year of service, so he can be a free agent after the 29 season when he will be 27 years old. I think there's a possibility, if he stays healthy and all that stuff, Paul Skeens could earn somewhere between $750 million and $1 billion in his career. And the reason I say that is the delivery. It's not a violent thing. A delivery on the arm. We talked about that so much. Yeah. He's built to last, and I hope he does. And he's got the right attitude. And man, just couldn't be happier for the guy. So first class all the way. And I didn't realize that Rookie of the Year caveat. I like that because that's a blatant attempt to manipulate, an attempt to deceive, and I'm just glad he got over on that.
Well, they got that full year now, Charlie. He's not going to be shortchanged.
Oh, I know he's not going to starve. I get it, but I like to see it anyway. All right, second class, good with a chance to be great. We already talked about Army a little bit earlier today, so I will honor Max Go.
Oh, by the way, 23-7 was the vote. It was much closer in the American League with a heel.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten those two guys started against each other on the second to last day of the regular season in Yankee Stadium. Now, Skeens only went, I think, an inning or two, and then they got him out there.
2 innings.
Yeah, two innings, and then they got him out.
That was one, man. He had that stuff. He was kind of giggling off the man. More Brian Kelly's got to go. He ain't going anywhere.
I tell everybody the same thing. If you
it's not going anywhere.
Right. Check payable $70 million. To do it.
Scratch that check, right?
Yeah, as you put it. The second class LSU basketball in action tonight against Charleston Southern. That's not really the good with a chance to be great part. Watch tonight, sure, at the PMAC, but the upcoming schedule. I've been as critical as anybody of some of the boring ass non-conference schedules they've had in basketball around here some years. But this one has got some juice to it. They're going to the Greenbrier as soon as they finish up with this. They're going to play Pittsburgh, who is a very respectable team. Is a Ken Palm 16 right now. That's the first game. That's Friday night, Friday afternoon. Actually, hey, we can watch this. I didn't realize this is a 1:30 game. We can watch this right when we finish the show on Friday. So they take on Pittsburgh. They could, if they win that game, end up playing a top 20 Wisconsin team in the championship game of the Greenbrier. Now, if they don't do the same thing as Wisconsin does, they end up with UCF. So it's okay. And then they got the SEC ACC Challenge. They get Florida State, who's not very good this year. I think it's a Ken Palm 90, but it's still
top 100.
Still a reasonable team. And then they play about a week before Christmas. They play SMU on the road, a true road game, and SMU is 68. Excuse me. So there's some decent stuff on here to get an idea of just how good they are before they head into conference play. And the first test, they passed with flying colors the other night at Kansas State.
Kansas State game was impressive. You were sick that next day. Mm-hmm. And on a football Friday, we rarely talk college basketball. It's funny that this is how buried in interest LSU basketball is and is still fighting their way out of it. They go and beat Kansas State at their place as bad as you could, pretty much as bad as you could beat somebody. You double digits from gate to wire. Once you get a double-digit lead in the middle of the first half, it never goes to single digits. They were never threatened on the road. It got a little chippy. You got a former player from there. You get this. I mean, it was never, Charlie. That place was packed too. They've been, the Big 12. Big 10 and Big 12 arenas are great, man. They're very supportive of the basketball team. SEC's getting better. SEC's getting better in some of our venues. But, man, you beat them. And Kansas State's got votes in this week's top 25, and LSU has none. That's how bad they are. So let's keep it going.
Sure, you're off the radar.
I will tell you this. I can't see much because I'm not going to watch too much of Grambling or Nichols or whatever, or Alabama State or whoever they were playing. They look like a tournament team at Kansas State.
Yeah,
they banged the hell out that glass, man. It was impressive. It was impressive. They certainly had a little firepower. So, I mean, like college basketball, if we're in November, it's a totally new roster. Everybody has a new roster, and so how far they can develop, I don't know. But I didn't see that coming. And where did they go off? Probably about 6-7 point underdog. 9-point dog, and beat the tar out of them like that. Got to give credit where credit's due. I just think that Brian Kelly's recruiting class this year better.
Yes.
Yeah, significantly. What about McMahon's? His recruiting class better?
Yes.
Took him a few years.
Significantly.
Took him a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit longer than I would like to wait. But
you're tremendously patient, Jimmy. Don't short.
The P word, baby. Patience. That's right.
Incredibly patient. All right, no class this week.
I'm like one of them old owners, man. You're getting long in the tooth. You lose that patience, man.
Yeah, cranky is the word you're looking for.
Oh, now that's a cheap shot.
Lack of patience. Well, I'm just as cranky. So, all right. No class this week was so easy, but you're going to have to give me a little time here because I got a top 10 of no class for the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fiasco. Okay, this is not just a little bit here and there. The top 10 was so hard to get into that Antonio Brown's Twitter feed did not get into the top 10 of things that were no class about this thing. How I watched the first 4 rounds of the fight and then had to watch the 4 rounds again. Did it to myself. Rosie Perez as one of the color commentators. The actress, okay, hey, look.
I used to love when she would come on Letterman.
I love Rosie Perez. I saw White Men Can't Jump. I saw Do the Right Thing. She's a tremendous actress. As a boxing commentator, I'm not sure how she got that job. That didn't make the top 10. The fact that
Charlie, it's a YouTuber versus a 58-year-old guy. It's a bit of a circus.
Well, The circus drew 72,000 butts in the seat at AT&T Stadium.
72,000 people?
72,000 people. They did $18 million on the door. It's the highest boxing or MMA event ever outside of Vegas. Okay, Netflix's stock. Okay, this blew my mind. Netflix's stock, bad as that thing was the other night, their stock went up 2.8% on Monday. After that, imagine if the screen would have been clear, how much it would have gone up. All right, so those things didn't make my top 10. Here's my top 10 reasons that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul were in no class. Number one, buffering. Okay, if you watched the thing, buffering, the whole thing. Number two, Netflix's NFL promos. This scared me every time I put it up. So if you're putting up a blurry screen that's buffering 3/4 of the time, the last thing I want to know is what you're doing next. Even worse is something that you're doing next is something I actually care about, because I'm going to want to watch NFL football on Christmas Day. So I don't tell me promos about, look all the stuff we got coming. Try to get this right now. Number three, the first fight. Also, you're so lucky you missed all this. Another social media influencer against a professional fighter, neither one of which I've ever heard of. But when the professional fighter was trying to dry hump him in the corner, okay, he's embarrassing this guy so much, and he is trying to dry hump him in the corner. Okay,
Charlie, that's a family show. Come on,
you go watch the film. All right. Number four, buffering. We're still buffering. Okay. Number five, they had Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield in between fights, okay? Lewis is in the middle, the announcer is on the left, and Holyfield is on the right. But it's so loud in there that Holyfield's earpiece and his mic don't work. So the announcer, I forgot her name, says, Lennox, will you please ask Evander what he thinks about the fight tonight? Evander, what do you think about the fight tonight? Holyfield tells Lewis something back. Nobody can hear it. Lewis looks back and goes, he's very excited about the fight. I mean, this is excruciating. Okay? I mean, my God. You guys can't even get a mic. We've had technical problems around our place, okay? I'm not going to tell you. It's we're immune to it, okay? But, my God, they have three working mics. Number six, Jerry Jones. He was on the in between another two of the fights. I forget which two. He said, we're all very excited to be introduced to Netflix. Introduced to Netflix? Is this some new technology? Jerry, Netflix has been around for a minute, okay? And we couldn't be happier for the huge part of the NFL that Netflix is about to be. You can tell Jerry's got dollar signs in his eyes. Don't tell me about how excited you are to have Netflix with the NFL when they can't get the damn mics to work, when they can't get the picture non-blurry, when they can't get it to stop buffering, okay? I don't want to hear about that. Number seven in things that were no class about this, Mike Tyson's ass. Okay, they went into the locker room for whatever reason, and the first thing you see is a pretty much naked Mike Tyson from the rear, okay, which I didn't need to see. An additional no class on the same one, to all of my friends who screenshotted Mike Tyson's ass and sent it to me, okay? Just in case I missed it the first time. This is what I get for being sick on Friday and being stuck at home. So, that one. Number 8 on no classes for Mike Tyson. Get lousy judges even in women's fights, okay? The previous fight, which was the best fight of the night, the women's championship, the girl that landed over 100 more punches and took an incidental headbutt that opened a gash over her right eye, still lost the fight, landed 100 more punches. The gash that was opened was bleeding so bad, and they took a point away from the girl who eventually won the fight, and she still won in a split decision after getting a point taken away in a round that she would have won but had to go to a 9-9 fight. So that's that's number 8. Number 9, buffering. We're still buffering. Been buffering all night. And number 10, Jimmy, we've seen some cash grabs before. All right. NFL preseason games are cash grabs. Rental wins in college football are cash grabs. A lot of these lower-tier bowl games are cash grabs. We have seen some of the biggest cash grabs in sports. This one's number 1 for me. This was so obvious, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, and everything's rigged in Vegas. This was so obviously staged. Okay, and I mean choreographed to the point of professional wrestling. And at least professional wrestling, you know it's a show. Okay, you're going to hit me, you're going to chase me, I'm going to chase you, you're going to fall down, it's going to look like it hurts. We're going to, put on a show. This was staged from the slap at the weigh-in to the opening of this fight and all the way through 8 rounds. 2-minute rounds, the lighter gloves, the heavier gloves, excuse me. I get all of that. But it was so incredibly obvious that these guys wanted to dance around and not really. Tyson landed 18 punches. He landed 18 punches in 8 rounds, okay? So no class to the people that put this on. No class to the people that participated in this. No class to everybody who watched it, and I put myself in that category. We got to stop watching this kind of garbage, okay? This was as bad as it gets.
And nobody argued with that.
I mean,
it was universal. I was walking into the Beau Rivage Sportsbook right when it was ending, and the people were flooding out of there, and everybody was pitching. And you know what I say? One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Sure.
Looked like a masterpiece to me. Dance, no throws, plus 300, Paul decision. Thank you. I'll take the 27-year-old guy in a decision in which nobody's going to throw punches.
We all want to see the guys we loved watch.
Tyson's my age. What you got a man against a 58-year-old ass, huh?
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I definitely don't want to see it on my television. I definitely don't want to have it sent to me. We all want to see the icons go forever. I'd love to watch Michael Jordan play. No. I mean, we want to see him in their prime, okay?
Yes.
If I could watch Michael Jordan in his prime time, Michael Jordan was stop what you're doing and watch. Tiger Woods was stop what you're doing and watch. Barry Sanders was stop what you're doing and watch. But for the time, and Tyson, I mean, a Tyson fight was an event, okay? It was everybody get together and chip in money when you're in college for the pay-per-view. It was, hey, man, let's throw a party. This is something to see. It's no longer something to see. It hasn't been something to see for a long time, and they preyed on that. So God bless. I get Netflix anyway, so I didn't pay for it, wouldn't have paid for it, but stuck on my couch, a little bit under the weather, and throw Houston in there as well, because if Houston would have had a competitive game with Arizona like they should have, I would have been watching that. But since that game got out of hand and Houston looked awful, throw them a little no class too, Jimmy. So that's my
I was glad. A good time for a drive between the blender and the Beau Rivage. So that was not terrible. I was trying to get there in time to watch it, but what do you expect? It's kind of like Randy McKay when he was at that Broncos Colts game and nobody could get a first down. He had under 43, and it was like a 10-6 final.
Yeah, there was a safety in the game.
It was beautiful.
Right,
beautiful.
Exactly.
Rocking chair at plus $3. Of course, our Supreme Rice. And don't forget, man, hey, you trying to get that quality, restaurant quality rice with the rice that you boil or steam at home. Get the Parball rice, one of the new new items of the line for Supreme Rice. Parball rice, a thick, long grain rice that doesn't produce some of that residue when you kind of boil your rice at home. You don't have to cold rinse it, things like that, and it's just really, really good stuff. Another level, man. I was always wondering why I couldn't get my rice that restaurant quality. You can now with the Supreme Rice, Parball rice, available in all Baton Rouge area grocery stores.
And, of course, the Climate Smart program for future generations of Louisiana farmers. They're promoting methane emissions reductions and promoting water conservation. For more information and great recipes, go to supremerice.com. Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch. Again, we got our early bird special on gift cards now through the 27th of the month. Buy $100 in gift cards, get $20 in gift certificates free. Buy 200 or more in gift cards, you get $20 gift certificate plus a free appetizer card for every $100 you spend. Wonderful stocking stuffers. Oh, if I got the free appetizer card, I think I get the crab claws, right? One of the best.
Yeah, great, man.
We were enjoying the NFL day on Sunday at the Beau Rivage, and before the night game, there's a little bit of a break between the 3:00 games and the night game. Everybody kind of scatters and then comes back for the night game if it's a good one. And of course, it was a good matchup this week with the Chargers and the Bengals. But Jimmy, it had almost completely cleared out by halftime when the Chargers were leading 24-6, and it looked like the Bengals were completely done. And then in the third quarter, they extend the lead to 27-6, and even the diehards were just about. And I was just about to pack up and go to the room and say, "Let me hang on for one more drive." And one more drive included a fourth down conversion. They get in. Chase gets a touchdown, so they're within 2. Let me hang around. Next drive on a fourth down and short, they go deep for T. Higgins. It's one of those. What are you doing? Oh, wait, look, he's wide open. Touchdown gets him within a score. And then they get the tie-in score early in the fourth quarter. It's 20-27. We got ball game, baby. And then they just couldn't close the door. And this has been what the Bengals do. They had 2 field goal attempts. McPherson, who came in the league during that Super Bowl run, he was perfect in the postseason. Didn't miss a single kick. But they got a new snapper. The operation just looks a little funky, and he missed 2 makeable field goals. But the defense got him enough stops to give him a chance. And Joe Burrow, who was almost perfect the other night, almost perfect, threw for 356 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. You and I are watching the last, not the last drive, but the second to last drive, right around the 2-minute mark, and he's got Chase down the right sideline, and he missed him. It's a throw he makes 9 out of 10 times. He missed him. His margin for error is 0.
None.
He's got to hit every single pass. And, they dialed up a little semblance of a running game to help him the other night. Chase Brown, made a few runs. They got a little bit of help for him there. The defense made a few stops, but, man, there just is almost no wiggle room for him. So, Jimmy, when you got and you've been on this a while, I'll give you credit, give you your flowers on this. I was a little reluctant to come around like maybe he's not really all that bad. Zach Taylor is the common denominator here, the coach. You have a top 5 quarterback in the league who right now is leading the league in passing. You have at
passing
worst
yards,
the
QBR too.
Yeah, you have at worst a top 3 receiver. A lot of people think Chase is the best receiver in football, and I wouldn't argue that point very much. You have the number 1 sack guy right now in Trey Hendrickson. I'm not going to tell you it's a perfect roster. There's some holes in it still, on the offensive line, and there's some defensive holes. But you got players, and you should not be 4-7. Okay, you should not have just with those 3 guys and an average roster. I mean, this is the 3 of the 4 most important positions in football. You got the top quarterback, you got the top receiver, you got the top pass rusher. I mean, give me a rock solid left tackle and a lockdown corner, and I'm good to go. I'd fill the rest of the roster in with just guys, and they're 4-7. And the number of 1-score games, I can't tell you chapter and verse, play by play, why they lost a 1-score game to the Patriots, a 1-point game to the Chiefs, a 1-score game to the Commanders, 2 1-score games to the Ravens, and then this the other night. But I'm done blaming it on the players. I'm done blaming it on the roster. I think I need another coach in Cincinnati. And you've been on this a while.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen this year. They're going to be out the playoffs. This thing has been sitting around basically even money for last 3 games. They keep losing these games that they are in position to win. And, they could have won the Baltimore game. They could have won this one. And Burrow is doing all he could. But you have no power running back. They did have a little bit of a running game this game, but very little. He's going to get hit because he has limited protection. And his receivers have been kind of in and out of the lineup. But he's got, man, And those two guys are right. I mean, that's about as much as anybody's moved the ball on the Chargers this year. They're sound. Yeah, just in. Jim Harbaugh's got a sound line of scrimmage team. I mean, so they're going to make you beat them. Herbert is, they're picking their spots with Herbert as well. His his attempts are way down. His efficiency is up. And so they want to run the ball and stop the run first. And that's something he's done every step of the way, even when he had Andrew Luck at Stanford. You know, when John Elway was at Stanford, they were throwing the ball twice as much as everybody else.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else about Justin Herbert, and we talked about this while we were watching the game. He looks healthy, maybe for the first time in 2 years. He is running. I mean, he's always had athleticism, but the last 2 years it looks like he's been reluctant because I think he's been beat up. And boy, he's got that long stride. He made some really important runs the other night. And Harbaugh's quote was, "I don't ever want to coach another quarterback. I'm going to ride this guy until he retires and I retire." And the ages work out for that. Herbert's a top 5 quarterback, I think, when he's healthy and right, and he's finally got a coach.
He's top 5 ability. He's probably number 1 ability-wise, physical skill set, size, speed, arm strength. He has way more touch than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is a freak of a physicality.
Josh Allen, they're close.
He's faster than Allen. Allen is more physical of a runner, so they're different, but I think equally as effective. I would give Allen an edge because he's done it more. I would give. He and Allen are very close. I would say. Yeah. I would probably still give Allen the edge. Allen's a little further along.
And
in his career,
he's certainly had better rosters to work with.
He's had a little bit more
Herbert.
seed, but keep in mind, remember when Allen played that playoff game against Houston when Deshaun Watson? It was ugly.
Yeah,
and he was flipping the ball over his head and stuff like that. I mean, and DeBose was credited with coming in and kind of calming him down, his mechanics, and improving his accuracy because they didn't know if he was ever going to be accurate. But no, I think that's probably
he's cut the turnovers down a
I would
ton.
probably give Allen because at this stage he's just had a few more years of experience, and so he's a little bit more polished.
And he's had better coaches and roster to work with.
Herbert's just trying to feel his way through. Still, he's just trying to find it, and he's got the right guy that goes, no, attempts down, efficiency up, and so guess what happens when you drop back less? You get hit less too. Okay, because they got to respect that run. So when you play action, you're getting hit less. Well, that's going to allow him to be healthy to tuck it and run. And you saw the other day, he could move, Jack. I mean, but, yeah, I would say him and Allen, top. Sure, Lamar is the fastest. Heck, not too far. Jaden needs to put on a little strength, durability.
Yeah.
So, but, man, he's up there. He's up there. The thing about him is he just a football lifer? He's a 4.0 student, wanted to stay at Oregon one year because he wanted to be the student assistant in a microbiology class.
Yeah. The word on him is that he is married to football now. He has the work ethic is strong. That the leadership qualities are good. That just because he has other interests doesn't mean he's not married to the game.
I think he's pretty damn smart enough to figure out that this is a pretty good living and to be committed to it.
Yeah.
But my goodness, with all the knuckleheads in the league, I mean, he is as safe of a play as any. Somebody got to get that little toughness, and that may come with time. And I think it's starting to come, and I think he's got the right coach to kind of bring it along.
So you've had some rookies, some really bad coaches with the Chargers. You bring in a professional. Harbaugh's a professional. He's goofy as hell, but he's a professional.
Harbaugh is an absolute social irritant. Okay, I mean he's a weirdo. All right, but he put Colin Kaepernick in positions to be successful. Okay?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's an excellent way to make your point.
He put Alex Smith. Before Alex Smith got to Kansas City and was more established and was productive, when Alex Smith was kind of part runner, he put him in position where he took those two guys to the conference championship and Super Bowl. And back-to-back years, 2 out of 3 years. I mean, it was in a short period. Those guys are out the league. They weren't in the league much at all. I think now maybe Alex Smith would have gone further if he had a catastrophic injury, because he came back after and got the Washington that time, the Redskins. But no, Herbert's they got a real football coach there, and that was a goofy organization. Peyton was dying for that job.
Cheap organization is the word that I would use. The Spanos family has been notoriously cheap with a lot of stuff, and like the Brown family, they've come off a little bit of that money now. Okay, the SoFi thing really helped them out financially, so there's a little bit
How
more.
much of the SoFi did they pay? Probably
none.
Nothing.
That's the deal. They didn't have to pay for the stadium. Kroenke paid for the stadium, so now they don't get quite all of the whistles and bells if it was their own stadium, but they didn't have to build it, so that was a big deal. There's places where when you have a coaching vacancy, you go out and you get a young guy. It's like, hey, man, if I'm the Saints, I want to go get one of the hot assistants. If I'm, the Raiders, I want to go get one of the hot assistants. I want to build it together. But if I got a ready-made roster that is just underachieving, like the Chargers, I want to go get a professional coach like Harbaugh. And if I'm the Bengals, I don't want the hot young assistant. I don't want to play experiment like this guy may be the next guy. He may be. I want to go get a professional coach. I want to get a guy that is established, that has been a winner, that knows what it takes to do in the league. If I were the Bengals, I would hire Mike Vrabel in a heartbeat.
Well, let's keep it.
And say, go win me those games I've been losing by one score. And you could turn this thing around. And I know they're going to lose T. Higgins, but I would. I would
Vrabel would be great for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going to go get a professional coach that knows the deal, is not training on the job. I've got to.
It's Tom. This guy is. I mean, it just. He's done nothing to minus a Band-Aid approach to trying to a duct tape approach to that offensive line. I mean, when you just let Mixon go and you don't replace him with a power back and you don't even try and run the ball that much. I mean, they're just teeing off on coming to get Burrow more and more.
Well,
I mean,
I'm going to defend them a little bit on the offensive line. They have tried and they have missed. The Orlando Brown signing was a big signing, hasn't worked out quite as well. They used their first round pick on an offensive lineman, and Morris Mims, who is working through a rookie year. They've put some resources there. They just haven't hit on guys. So I can't say they haven't tried.
Kept Jonah Williams around.
Well, that was a mistake.
Okay.
I'll grant you that. But you're 2 years in the rearview
mirror on him
now.
And they still this thing would look a lot different than Sewell if Sewell was there. And you wouldn't have Chase. Can't have them both. But Burrow would be way more. Every year he starts off injured. Every year.
Yeah, some of that stuff's been bad luck, but some of it has been he got beat up too.
Yeah. Don't forget our friends at Electric Man of Baton Rouge. So, again, Electric Man, look, electrical work is not do-it-yourself type of stuff. No. You need electricians. We're licensed and insured. We provide quality service. It's guaranteed at Electric Man. Quick repairs to full installations. Installations, if your home or business has electrical emergencies, Electric Man can come right at your doorstep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our professionals can repair, replace, and install complex electrical wirings, electrical panels, and your new outlets in a breeze. Electrical safety. Safety is always our top priority at Electric Man. Whether it's tamper-resistant receptacles, ground fault circuit interrupter outlets, arc fault circuit interrupter outlets, or even USB outlets, we've got you covered at Electric Man. 372-5356 at electricmanbatonrouge.com.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch again. New Handicast up with the complete review of LSU and Florida right now on YouTube. Handicast, subscribe and like. Please help us out a little bit on the Handicast. I had this question to me yesterday, Jimmy. I'll pass it on to you. If it comes down to the fourth 10-2 team in the SEC, if Ole Miss and Georgia and the winner of Texas and Texas A&M are in the playoff, and the fourth spot comes down to a 10-2 Tennessee and a 10-2 Alabama, who do you think's getting in?
The committee has put the team that's won head-to-head ahead, but Alabama's got their strength of schedule is considerably better. Keep in mind, this is the first game this week. Or no, Mercer had a winning record. Auburn will be the first game all year, their opponent that's had a losing record.
That's what I thought, too. And then I went and looked it up. Alabama's strength of schedule is 16. Tennessee's is 18. That surprised me. I didn't realize that. My thing was, hey, listen, if it's close, Tennessee won the head-to-head.
Yeah, they did. I don't understand.
No,
I don't get that.
Your remaining strength of schedule, Alabama's 12 and Tennessee's 69. So the last two games are going to factor into this, and that gap is going to widen, obviously.
Tennessee's toughest non-conference game was NC State. They're terrible. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got nothing there. And would Alabama played Wisconsin?
Wisconsin's
better than the NC State. I mean, but they're not great. They're going to be about 6-6 this year. So that's slight. They played.
Well, what's happening with Alabama's schedule?
They didn't play Ole Miss. They didn't play Texas. They didn't play Texas A&M.
But
played LSU, and LSU's fading.
Here's the thing with Alabama, South Carolina. Okay, that ends up being a much better win than it looked like at the time. Missouri.
So who's their three best wins?
Still a good. Alabama's three best wins would be Georgia, South Carolina.
But Georgia, they both play Georgia.
Okay, then outside of Georgia, their best three wins: South Carolina, Missouri, and LSU or Wisconsin. Take your pick.
LSU.
Okay, then South Carolina, Missouri, and
Tennessee's
and Tennessee. If we're going to throw Georgia out, their three best wins. You count an Alabama win. Their next two best are
Alabama,
Florida, and Oklahoma.
Oh God, they don't have another win besides Oklahoma.
NC State,
Vandy.
Kentucky and Mississippi State are on their schedule. That's why.
No, it's bad, man. No, Alabama's had the tougher road.
Alabama's had the tougher road, and I was with you. I thought the strength of schedule was way more. And the strength of schedule, again, the gap will widen with what they have left because Alabama's going to play Oklahoma and Auburn, which is no great shakes in the last 2 weeks. But Tennessee's playing UTEP this week.
UTEP and Vandy.
UTEP and Vandy's okay.
That'll widen it a little bit more.
It's going to widen it. That to me is one of the bigger. If you sit there and look at those two teams, it's like, whew, okay, Alabama's road is tougher, but Tennessee beat them straight up. I think Alabama is actually the better team of the two right now, but they played. So.
Play on the road, and who's Bama's road schedule is at Tennessee, at Wisconsin, at
LSU, and they go to Oklahoma this week.
At Oklahoma, with missing one.
Did you write? What'd you write down? You wrote
at Tennessee, Wisconsin.
They were at Vandy.
At Vandy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's the name plays Vandy? That's a scratch, right? At Vandy, the road game, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a scratch. And then there are other ones. They didn't play a road non-conference game.
They went
neutral site.
They went to Georgia, Arkansas, and Oklahoma.
At Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Yeah. Yeah, that's close. The LSU is an extra trip. You know, it's just Bama's schedule is better. Tennessee beat them.
If they put Alabama,
it's close,
right? And if it's close, doesn't the head-to-head have to trump? I mean, if it's close, if there was a big gap, I get it. Could you imagine the outrage if those two teams are really, really close and they put Bama in? They say, "Hey, Alabama looks better." Well, they played. They played in Knoxville.
Oh well, Milrose better than Nico.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what Herbie did last year. I'm tired of seeing blowouts. I'm saying who I think the best team is.
Right.
I'm doing my. I mean, I'm like, whoa. I mean, how do you? No, you have to go on the resume. I mean, it's who has the most impressive resume. And I mean, part of the resume is how impressive you are.
Sure.
Not just beating somebody with some luck and some turnovers, but game control. Everything, all of that. But not just like. No, they're better. because nobody had a better resume than Florida State last year. But the injury, I get it, and they were playing. And guess what? They were right. Alabama provided a test that it was just impossible for Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State can't play Michigan like they did later.
Do I think that Alabama would win a rematch in Tuscaloosa by the same touchdown that Tennessee beat them in Knoxville? I do, but I got no way to prove that.
But that's part of the breaks of playing home and away.
Never imagine Alabama gets a little bit of.
It is closer than I thought. To your point,
me too.
Yes,
because I got asked that. I'm like, oh, Tennessee, they won the game. Go look.
But Alabama was not in my favorite, not tough schedule group. It was Georgia, Oklahoma, and I'm always forgetting this. On the favorable was Texas, Tennessee, and Missouri. Florida. Florida, Oklahoma, in Georgia was brutal, man. It was brutal.
They got the biggest of the meat grinders.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Don't forget our friends over at Workbox and Workbox Services. My buddy Martin Padial over at Workbox, man, been doing it for quite some time. And, man, the great thing about Workbox is we can handle all of your movable storage needs, whether it's commercial or at the home, residential. Our shipping containers come in various sizes, 8x8, 8x10, 8x20, or 8x40 feet. Not just one size like a lot of places. These units can also be customized for any use. Custom lunchrooms, custom offices, work sites for plumbers, for welders, dual purpose, be part office, part storage, climate control, shelving, lighting, using different materials, whatever you need or desire. But give my buddy Martin Padiello a call at Workbox 343-4886 and WorkboxLLC.com.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Well, you got your choice tonight. Plenty of stuff if you want to watch. You got LSU basketball at 7 o'clock. Charleston Southern's not very good. LSU's a 4-touchdown favorite in this game tonight. So right about halftime, if you want to switch over and watch some good college basketball, a monster matchup, Purdue and Marquette tonight at 8 o'clock. Purdue beat Alabama by 9 over the weekend, which was really
it's Friday
impressive.
afternoon, actually.
I'll count that as a weekend.
Yeah, you were sick, Charlie. You were getting rest.
I was rested up for the Tyson Paul
fight. I've never
fight.
seen a guy that takes a day off of work so he can make sure he watches a 58-year-old guy and a YouTuber.
That was the whole reason I took the day off.
Well, it was a blessing in disguise. I didn't see it, huh?
Very much so. Consider yourself lucky.
I tried to watch it.
So you got Purdue and Marquette tonight. If you'd rather watch the NBA, you got the 15-0 Cavs at the Celtics tonight.
Look, man, I'm the one that don't. The NBA, you're foolish starting your season this early in football where you could be really, come on. What do you think we're paying attention more in October, November, or July and August? Jump on that and take advantage of it. We're begging for stuff, man. We're betting on tennis and golf, man, in the summertime. And WNBA, that too. So, but anyway, this is good. This is good tonight. This Cleveland team is fun. And I made a little future bet on them. Actually, these are the two teams. I got them parlayed at even money to win their division. Well, they ain't even money right now. You got to lay like 380 or something like that. But I think it's fun. I think that Cleveland is now the third betting choice to win the Eastern Conference. Yep. And this is a litmus test, and you'll certainly have the attention of the Celtics tonight. Great game.
You got a really good college game, a really good pro game. LSU and the Pelicans both. LSU big favorite, Pels a big underdog, and 3 MAC games if you want to watch football instead of all that.
We'll have some picks and underlocks.
3 MACtion games. Thanks to the folks at Mike Anderson. Tomorrow we're at Roca. So stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.